All right. Typically, I do YouTube drive times. Not going to do one on YouTube. I'm going to do this on Facebook tonight. Um, so I'm, doing my thing on Facebook like I always do. Uh, Sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just posting my thoughts. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on because of the Floyd killing. Uh, so do my little house cleaning. If you can like it, you can share it. Never take the light of truth and place it under a basket. Let it shine bright for all to see. So the the Floyd situation, we know is bad, and there are questions surrounding it. Things like, is it all orchestrated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I am not going to get into the conspiracy um, aspects of any of that. And so, for all intents and purposes, let's just say that this guy, George Floyd, was killed by Derrick Chauvin in an unmerciful way. I mean, it was terrible. Um, Almost 9 minutes with his knee on his neck until he was dead. So everybody is talking about the proper way to respond to this, how, the looting, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been kind of putting some things out there, trying to be a little subtle with it. But let me clear a few things up. I don't post to please you. And I want you to understand that. There ain't nothing in the world that would cause me to betray who I am or who God is to keep your support. I'm going to call it like it is. I have been talking about bad cops for decades. I have always said bad cops persist because of politicians, district attorneys, mayors, sheriffs, um, and well, who is what? I think I left one out, but governors. That's why they persist, because they are not prosecuted, and the tide has turned on bad cops because of the citizen with their camera phones taking video and putting it out there and making it go viral. And when you expose things to the light, like Dr. Martin Luther King, and I'm going to talk about him and the difference in him and these idiots we got going today. When Martin Luther King, I call it the day of the dogs, billy clubs, and water hoses. When the whole world saw the dirty underbelly of America, that is when Jim Crow died. When Martin Luther King marched, he got a bunch of black folks together and convinced them to try something different. That something different was nonviolence. When they marched, not a single window was broken. When they marched, not a single car was lit ablaze. When they marched, they didn't curse white people. They didn't offend not one white man, woman, or child. In fact, they marched arm in arm, singing, Jesus songs, hymns. That's what they were doing. Okay? And when they were attacked, they did not fight back. Protest, peaceful protest, the way Martin Luther King did it, did not involve violence. Now, I got some guy going who got upset and, well, I'm not going to support you anymore because you're infringing. Because I said plainly, and I always tell you this, I stay strapped, okay? I have several brand name, okay? Brand name dirt nappers, all right? Anybody that comes at me the wrong way won't have a good day, All right. I believe in the Second Amendment. I am pro-second, and I will protect me and mine and my property. God gave me the right to do those things, to preserve those things that I care about that are important. And I'm not talking about necessarily material things, but my family. Because there are people that will kill you to take what you have. I had a fool come on my front porch today and steal my property. I was angry, but I called the police. And I took out a police report. And I went and told the people that the gentleman lived with, this is what you're dealing with. And God gave that boy another day to get his heart right. Because I'm not going to act a fool over that merchandise. But don't let me catch nobody up on my porch. I got a sign in my front yard that says there is nothing inside worth dying for. My daughter is here with me. You think I'm going to let some fool come throw a Molotov cocktail in through my window and walk away if I can stop him? Oh, no, God forbid. Because see, if I let him slide, he gonna go and do it to somebody else. This is what they do. But let me get back on point and finish. So this person is telling me, because I laid out some things. Now understand, these protesters have shown that they cannot be trusted. And so I said, give them a limited space where they can go and protest moving forward. Because Atlanta was already on fire. End the protest before the sun goes down. 3 hours before, so that they can disperse. And then being that you have a curfew in place, anybody outside past the curfew, take them to jail. Show them. Jail ain't a fun place to be. And maybe they will get it. Maybe they will understand what peaceful protest is about. Maybe they will understand that by going to the people who are really responsible, they might get their point made. Because it is, again, the governor, the mayors, the sheriffs, okay, the DAs. Those are the people who make bad cops possible. They allow them to persist. These cops have 10 and 15 and 20 complaints against them, some disciplinary reports, yet they are still on the police force. And when they get fired from one, they go to another one. And I always have to qualify the statement, because some idiot is going to say, why are you always talking about police? I'm talking about bad cops, damn it. Don't you know that when you don't address the situation as it is, the problem will fester and get worse? And the only reason we now have people who are so upset and pissed off, it is because of camera phones. Now, y'all might think it's something else. Trust me, it wasn't because good cops started standing up and turning into bad cops. Nope, that ain't why we're here. It wasn't because district attorney said, you know what, I want to get rid of the blue light. Nope, that wasn't it. It sure as hell wasn't because the sheriff's department said, you know what, we're going to clean up our act, or the police chief, we're going to clean up, get rid of these bad cops. No, none of that happened. It was camera phones. And now people are tired. They are fed up. And I understand them wanting to protest. I want peaceful protests, but I don't want people going down there and knocking out people's windows and burning up cars, blocking traffic, keeping me from getting home. Somebody asked me, well, Derrick, are you going to go downtown? No, I am not going to tempt God. Okay? There are fools out there. And that's no place for me to be, because if a fool approaches me, I'm going to defend myself. And I don't feel bad saying that. Somebody tell me, well, man, you're being out of character. Why? What? For not wanting to be a willing victim? I'm being out of character? Give me a break. And so now I said, if put in these procedures, let these people protest, because they've shown you can't trust them at night. And somebody say, well, you're infringing. How am I infringing? He said, well, what would you have me do? Well, one, when they're all gone and it's after dark, you see somebody that wants to get violent, you meet force with force. That's what the police do. You meet force with force. And I got I'm gonna make a point about that. So if you see somebody with a Molotov cocktail in your hand, they get a bullet. If you see somebody with a brick in their hand getting ready to throw it at somebody, you get a bullet. If you see somebody getting ready to spray graffiti all over somebody's window, send a German Shepherd on them. You understand where I'm going? And if you see somebody with a gun, you light them up. Ain't nobody got no business out there after dark. And when people want to act like they got some sense again, let them protest at night if that's what they're going to be doing. But when they want to act a fool, and folks, is no different than an individual that has a gun legally, goes out and decides he wants to rob somebody, gets caught, gets convicted and sentenced. Here in the state of Georgia and most places, you lose your constitutional right to own a firearm. Well, that ain't no different. These fools have been protesting, getting violent. They've shown us we can't trust them to protest peacefully. So they lose that right until they show us otherwise. We limit protests during the daytime. It is the same thing with the knucklehead who robbed somebody. When he gets out of prison, he cannot go and legally buy a gun. He has to wait until his rights can be restored, where he has shown himself civil again and ready to enter society fully with all of his constitutional protections. Excuse me. So it's the same thing with these looters. And I'm going to tell you something. There's nothing I hate worse than a thief. I hate them even more so than a bad cop, because thieves take from others what they did not earn, because in their mind they said, damn, I'm entitled to what he's got. I can't even imagine what a woman and nowadays men would feel like having been raped, somebody taking something from you that you did not willingly give to them. That's something different. And these folks that are going down here and knocking out windows, that poor man up there in Minnesota who put his life savings into opening that bar and didn't get to open because they burnt it to the ground, in neighborhoods that are already underserved, where they burned down the drugstores, and people are trying to argue for these fools and their right to go and raise hell. So looters, you need to be careful. And getting back to the cops, we got 2 police officers here in Atlanta that got fired. 2 kids, college kids, and they were out past curfew. That's a nonviolent crime. They flattened the tires on the car. They knocked out their windows. They forcibly removed the young lady from the vehicle. They tased the young man. He had an epileptic, I think he suffers from epilepsy, and he had a seizure. They tased him. Now, Mayor Bottoms fired them. Now, here's what I don't understand. They use all of this force on these kids who simply broke curfew, a non-violent act. And hell, it was not even a crime. It's just something that they put in place temporarily because of all that we see going on. They used all of that force on these 2 kids. Is there a stand down order on the looters? Do you understand what I'm going? Why aren't they using that force on the looters? Why aren't they protecting the shops? Why aren't they protecting the cars? Why aren't the police standing out there? You know, they all bad. Why aren't they standing out there saying, hey, come here to the police station. Come try and loot over here. Leave those citizens alone. They didn't do nothing to you. We're the ones you're mad at. Come on over here, or go up to the Capitol, or go over to City Hall. This is where you need to be. We're the ones that's responsible for the bad cops killing unarmed citizens. And if you still think that it's about race, I don't know where you have been. I put a meme on my wall. Asian cops standing by while a black man is killed. White cop killing an unarmed white person. I mean, you got all colors of cops killing all colors of people. This is not about race. This is about bad cops. And I'm going to tell this story and I'm going to shut up. Bad cops serve a purpose for the deep state, for division. You think that the media is the only arm used to divide us? No, it is not. Politicians, and you know I despise rhinos. Politicians, they divide. The media, they divide us. Somebody say, well, they're just trying to divide us. Hell, we already divided. We're already divided. But this little quick story and I'm gone. An owner, a good friend of mine owned a business. He had this manager who was a total prick. And I asked him pointedly, why do you let this guy treat your employees the way that he does? It's so unfair. And he told me, I'm not interested in fair. He serves a greater purpose for me. And I said, what on earth could that be? He said, control. Don't you get it? Don't you get it? They got you wearing masks. There ain't nobody talking about corona at all anymore. They got you distancing yourselves, but ain't nobody saying anything about that with the protesters. I ain't hearing nothing about COVID because they done moved to another level. So if you think that they are trying to divide you, you are sorely mistaken. You're already divided. I got people who get mad with me because I talk about rhinos, because they don't want to hear me talking about these people who screw conservatives over each and every day. I got people who get mad with me because I talk about bad cops, because they can't separate in their mind that there are bastards on police forces that don't care anything about any of us. And I have people that get upset with me because I don't agree with the same color that they like. I'm not going to support you anymore. I don't give a damn. Please understand that. I told you, if I go to D.C., it'll be because somebody wanted me up there bad enough because they know I'm going to go and stand for you. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're gay or straight. I am going to serve each and every citizen, and not just in Georgia, but across this land, because I will speak out against those bastards that have taken this country away from you. And Donald Trump is fighting very hard to give it back to us. And my own black brothers and sisters, man, I wished I could pull them out. I try, but it's just the simplest things that 90% of them can't even see. Somebody asked me, Derrick, black people, are we still just 13% of the population? You know, that was 20 years ago, that thing you posted. I said, yes, we are. You can Google and you can see it. Well, why is that? Well, the reason is because of abortion. Abortion has assured that we are still just 13% of the population, because that's how many of us are being killed each and every year. So, if you're mad with me because I don't like the same color as you, or because I speak against rhinos like David Perdue and Doug Collins and Johnny Isaacson, Graham, or you're upset with me because I told you 3 years ago that Gowdy wasn't nothing but a bulldog without teeth, a rhino, 45 plus rhinos quit after Trump won. 45, for the sole purpose of giving the House and the Senate to Democrats. They just didn't get the Senate, but they did get the House. That was intentional. But anyway, I get animated because I'm upset. I'm upset. You attack me because I tell you what you don't want to hear. That they're investigating that woman. They did a no-knock search warrant. They didn't announce themselves, and the man shot. They charged him with the woman's murder because they killed the young woman. But now the man has been released, and now the FBI is investigating those officers, and somebody makes a comment, Well, the war on drugs sure did kill her. I said the war on drugs ain't killed her. It was bad cops that killed that woman. And he said, up until now, I have supported you, but I am not going to support you anymore. I don't give a damn. I don't. I'm sick of bad cops, and I'm sick of rhinos. Why I pick those the most? Because I know that bad cops are being used as a tool. And rhinos work with Democrats when you're not looking. That is why we are where we are. The sooner you realize that, the better off you'll be. And you may not send me to Washington, D.C., but it won't be because I didn't tell you the truth. TMOTOFGA. I'm done.